Yo, it's ZBeefyGamr here and welcome to another video on Dishonored Death of the Outsider. For this video, we're going to be looking at the official gameplay trailer that dropped on the 10th of August. Beginning the trailer, we see a tiny little snapshot of this weird looking creature that we've seen before in some screenshots. It looks menacing, it looks deadly, it looks freaky, and I do not want to be in the same room with it. Obviously, it seems that the Outsider has created them to stop Billy, and this location that she's in looks like it's in the void. My guess would be that you get some missions in the game where you get to traverse through the void to get to the Outsider, because the area she's in does look like the void. This creature obviously looks like he just comes straight out of the void. You could just look at him and think, oh yeah, he's from the void. I've seen him there before. What struck me as a bit weird was killing these beings, will it affect your chaos level? Because in Dishonored 1 and 2, chaos level was dependent on killing people and there being some sort of rat plague or blood fly infestation or something that basically made killing people bad. But in this game, is there anything like that? In Karnaca, is there still a blood fly infestation or has it been cured? My prediction would be that there's probably still the blood fly infestation, so how did killing these beings affect that? Moving on, we get to see badass Megan killing some people. This does look like regular good old Karnaca. And then we see like a really cool panning shot of what seems to be Karnaca. I mean, it looks pretty tropical. It looks like Karnaca, but it looks more refurbished, clean and polished than anything we've seen before in Dishonored. The Duke's Palace in Dishonored 2 was obviously the most cleanest and like aesthetically pleasing location we've seen in Dishonored so far. This city, it doesn't look like it's been affected by any gang members, any plague or infestation. It just simply seems like a normal city. Is Arkane Studios trying to dial all those things back down a bit and focus more on the idea of traversing the void, seeing supernatural things, killing the Outsider? So this game might have a different tone to it, more deeper, darker, mysterious tone. Here we get to see a pretty cool shot of a poster board of some sort, and we get to see a poster for Billy Lurk, which is Megan Foster. Now, to the right of this photo is something that says Champion Challenge. It's a poster that shows a boxer on it, and above it, it does say Boxing Brawl. And this is pretty important because right in the next scene, straight after this, we get to see a man in a boxing ring. And he looks like the man from the poster because he's pretty big, tough, and burly. And he's standing in what seems to be a wrestling ring. And the fence looks like an Anton Sokolov invention where if you touch it, you'd get electrocuted and you'd get zapped. I'm just wondering, will you be able to go in the ring with him and have a fist fight with him? Maybe earn some money that way? Maybe this is just a boss you get to fight. Dishonored has never had any fist fighting of any kind. It's always been you, your sword, or your pistol, or your powers, and you might choke people unconscious or use non-lethal takedowns using your hands, but you've never ever been able to have the freedom of doing fist fighting and actually using your hands and punching people. So maybe over here we get to see that element. Now we get to see this really weird looking metal thing behind what is obviously Dowd, and he looks like he's being tortured, and the machine behind him seems to be wired into the chair he's sitting on, so I'm guessing that it's seeping away at his energy so he can't use his powers or get up or get out or escape. He's basically stuck here, and yeah, he looks like he's pretty out of it. We get to see some more scenes of Megan fighting, then we get to see this really cool scene of Dowd being freed, and he looks pretty relieved. I mean, you've been stuck in a machine that's been kind of seeping away at your energy, taking away your magic from you, so he looks pretty relieved to be free. And then straight away we get to see Dowd blinking, so I think this kind of hints that when you free him, maybe he'll help you fight everybody else and get out instead of Anton Sokolov, who just went unconscious straight away. Now we see Dowd, and he's standing in front of a pinboard, which might be the same pinboard from the Dreadful Whale. It probably is, because the Dreadful Whale belongs to Billy Lurk / Megan Foster. Now what's interesting here is that it says Serkonon Cartographic on the map, and Serkonos is the isle in which Karnaca is in. Maybe the game will take place only on Serkonos, but we might see some other parts of it, because it says this is the Upper Syria district, and something that says the Red Candle. Basically, there are locations here, it's a pinboard, and I'm guessing that this will work pretty similar to how the pinboard in Dishonored 2 worked, and what this indicates basically is that Dowd will probably be waiting on the boat while you go as Megan Foster and play the missions, and when you wake up, he gives you a briefing on the mission, he kind of tells you where you're going, he goes on the boat, drives you there, then he goes back, and he picks you up from the mission. So Dowd's kind of going to play like Anton Sokolov, where you rescue him, and then he's on the boat, you can interact with him, talk to him, and he gives you the mission briefings and stuff like that. This image basically confirms that is Dowd's role in Dishonored Death of the Outsider. In the next scene, we get to see Megan using a really cool power or gadget. She just sucks the face right off of this random old lady who I would say innocent, but knowing that it's the Dishonored universe, probably she's not innocent. But look, when she sucks the face, the woman's face turns like black and then goes to stone. So maybe she's dead. She probably is dead. So this would be a high chaos thing, I'm guessing. Or maybe you just borrow their face and when you're done with it, you just return it back. Now, what's interesting is that she's actually holding the face in her hand. So my guess is that when she's holding the face, judging from how the screen changed tint and color, that you're now disguised as that woman. Maybe that's the case, or you press the power button again and it puts the face on your face and kind of disguises you, because it's obviously a replacement for Corvo's possession power button. It's a bit different. Obviously you see Megan running with her sword out, so how can you be disguised as an old lady who's running with her sword out? Obviously that would attract the attention of any guards. We get to see this random man who has this arrow tattoo on his face that kind of looks like a fish. He looks like he's in a very posh place, like this place in Karnaka. We're seeing it looks much more refurbished and polished and clean. It looks like a much more better place to be living in. Now we get this pretty short scene of a lady sitting, kneeling, and my guess is this is one of the cults, judging from what Dowd says here too. This is one of the cults that you meet in the game that was confirmed in the description of the game. And looking at this location again, it does look much more cleaner than anything we've seen before in Dishonored, except the Duke's Palace, maybe Kirin Jidnush's mansion. And now we get to see the outsider teleporting into this bench, it seems, in the middle of nowhere. Maybe he meets you in the missions and he kind of tells you stories about him and his past and why you should not kill him. So on one hand you have the outsider trying to convince you not to kill him, and on the other side you have Dowd who's convincing you to kill him. Maybe you gotta pick a side. And then you get to see a close-up, really nice close-up of the outsider's face, and he looks pretty angry. You can see the black tears on his face. We see Dowd teleporting, and immediately after that we see the outsider. So maybe Dowd will be in the outsider battle with you, so when you're fighting the outsider, he'll be fighting alongside with you, which would be really, really cool. So we see the safe that has 2 keys already inserted into it, and the safe opens to reveal the blade that was used to sacrifice the outsider and the blade that Megan wants to use to kill the outsider. And what also jumps out to me in the scene is the fish tattoo that we saw on that man's face earlier on in the video. He probably owns the sword. Maybe he even has Dowd hostage in this building or in this area, and you have to kill him or deal with him non-lethally to get one of the keys to open the safe. Now we get to see Megan picking up the sword, and there's like a flashlight, scene changes, and she's in the void now. So maybe when you pick up the sword, you instantly get teleported to the void, and maybe you're there for the rest of the game. And we see this huge library that's been canvassed off in the top, and this is in the void. You can see the rocks on the left, but you get to see the same scene later on. The next scene shows a couple of people standing in the void, obviously because it has that weird creature I talked about in the start. He still looks just as menacing as ever. Now these people who are in the void, I'm not sure if killing them will affect chaos, because once again it's pretty strange. They're in the void, so why would their death affect your chaos level? Because them dying doesn't affect anything in the real world. We get to see the outsider holding this blade that's kind of shimmering in and out of existence. It looks pretty cool, it looks pretty badass. It's probably what he's going to use to fight you. We get to see what looks like a spring razor going off. And over here we see something really cool. We see Billy use a gadget that pulls a man's arm to it and latches him onto the wall. This is called the hook mine, and I've talked about it in my previous 2 videos. Harvey Smith discussed it as well in a couple of interviews that he was in, and basically it's a mine you kind of place on the walls like a sun mine, or as you saw Megan just do now, you can just chuck it onto a wall and it pulls enemies to it, latches them there. And what Harvey Smith said that was pretty interesting with the hook mine is that you could place multiple on different walls and they would rip an enemy apart. So using one hook mine to just latch an enemy onto it it's purely non-lethal. It doesn't kill them, but using multiple to rip them apart obviously is pretty lethal and will kill them. Now we see Megan using a power called Void Strike, which Harvey Smith has previously talked about, and it's basically where Megan charges up her sword and she delivers a pretty powerful attack. She'll use it to send the man flying, and then she goes down and she drop assassinates this enemy. Now what I want to point out here are his eyes. They're obviously glowing. So these people in the void, are they created from the outsider, or are they people from the past that the outsider has reanimated? Or maybe they're just people from the actual world that he's drawn into the void and using them as puppets to kind of get rid of Megan. It's pretty strange and weird. It still begs the question, does killing them affect your chaos level? And if so, then why? And how? Now we get to see the scene that we've seen before at the starting with these really weird, creepy void enemies that are made out of rock, void rock, and we see that you can actually block their attacks, which is pretty nice to know that. And then we see what seems like a more evolved version. Maybe it's a boss, and it kind of looks like Groot with no face. It looks like he's made from bones of a whale. He looks pretty menacing as well. What's interesting is that when Megan slices him in half, you get to see blood spread out, and that's pretty weird. Like, why would blood be coming from something made from bones? So maybe killing these things would actually affect chaos. We return to a scene from the starting of the trailer showing Billy taking out a couple of guards and what looks like a civilian. We get to see her use the power called Displace, which is where she places a remnant of herself and then she teleports to it. She does it so fast over here that it looks like she's simply blinking. And that's the end of the trailer. So thanks for watching and goodbye. Be sure to leave your theories in the comments below.